Morning. Well, just make sure we make a switch. We're in a series, as you know. I think it is a series basically called The Church That Weathers. And, you know, we're in a time when we're having to weather a lot of things. We're having to weather consumerism. And John talked about that a few weeks back, and we talked about last week in church, it's having to weather this throwaway culture. I have a pair of old boating shoes. And you know when you get a pair of shoes you like? You know what it's like, and I decided that I've got holes in these old boating shoes, and I thought it's time for them to go. So I went down and I brought these other boating shoes, and you know what? I don't wear them. Because I like my old shoes. Because I've weathered a lot of things with me. And we today, we're talking about weathering, and especially we as a church are having to weather our culture. There's a lot of cultural changes. And today we're talking about weathering busyness. Did you know busyness is on the increase in our culture? It's on the increase. In fact, the program, if you go to the next slide, I haven't got this.
Oh, you pressed the wrong button.
What do I do? We can go to that next slide. That can be good. Okay. Some of you may have seen this program Sunday. Okay, it's basically talking about mind your busyness. And they interviewed Kiwis who were basically, 4 of them came from different walks of life, and they were having to weather busyness. Many of them had been burnt out. Many of them actually had gone to hospital and took months and months of recovery to come out of their busyness, to come out of the breakdown that had happened. And they were saying that New Zealand now is basically, it is one of the, New Zealand has the longest working hours in the most OECD countries in the world. Ours is on the increase. And the danger is that we see busyness as a kind of a badge you wear, kind of like I'm important. And they're seeing it more and more that way. In fact, they say, you hear people saying, I'm against it, I'm against it, I'm under the gun, I'm working myself to the bone, I'm so busy. And really what you're saying is, we don't want to be like that guy over here who's lazy. We don't want to be that guy. And what that's leading to, and one specialist on this program said this, she says, organisations are telling us that we need to work harder, and in so doing, we're more valued. She goes on to say, she says, this day and age, she says, some of us are so busy that we actually feel valued and needed. And the outcome of that, she says, is we get on the slow burn and we end up burning out. It's a problem. I read this by the Virginia Grazer. She says, this is the age of the half-read page. The quick fix and the mad dash, the bright night with nerves tight, the plain hop and a brief stop, the length tan and a short span, a big shot and a good spot, the brain strain and a heart pain. The cat naps until the spring snaps and the fun is done. We live in an age of busyness, but it's not just a 21st century problem. Unfortunately, it's become a 1st century problem. And the story today, it's interesting in the book of Luke here, he's just already talked about the Good Samaritan. How that is a great thing to do, but there is also a time in the story, in the very story that we're talking about, a time to be still, a time to be with Jesus. What's interesting, this story is only unique to Luke. The other Gospels don't put it 18. And it's basically 6 months before the crucifixion. Jesus is on his way to Jerusalem, and often he would stop at Martha's house. This was a regular stop where he would go. In fact, some say, in the Gospel of John, they say that he goes there 4 times. One account, different commentators say he went actually 7 times. So we've got this account where he goes to this place. She lives in of course, Bethany on the eastern slopes of the mount there of Olives, and she will rest there, he will rest there and go to Martha's house. Martha means basically the mistress, the lady. So basically, she's the oldest sibling. She probably had a big house, and she housed people, looked after people. Being the oldest sibling, she probably feels responsibility. Do we have any older siblings here? Oh, we've got an older sibling. Okay. You know those older siblings, they kind of shoulder the responsibility. Dare I say they can be a little bossy? No, surely not. Sometimes they can be a little ruling, controlling. I've had a hip operation a few weeks back. My brother heard about this. He texts me, said, I'm coming down, I'll be picking you up. There was no discussion. I'm coming down, I'm going to pick you up, and by the way, I'm shouting lunch. I thought, well, that's a good deal. You know? And he did. He came down, and that literally, because he's the boss. I'm at the bottom of the pecking order. He's at the top of the pecking order. That's what he does. Interesting. I'd ask you to pray for my brother Warwick, because Warwick, right, this discussion, we've been over the mount, had lunch together, sat on one of those stools by the mountain, and we had lunch. And he's asking about baptism. So in a few weeks, in a month or so, I go up, he's got me speaking to a businessmen's group. He's a businessman, and he wants me to speak to this group, and he says, we can study this more. So, and so it says here in the text, though, that we have Martha, and Martha basically opens up a home. You notice the text says she welcomed him. It's literally a word means to go overboard. She didn't just open up the home, she goes overboard. It's an interesting word, and so she throws it over there, and she wants to show this wonderful hospitality. I love Martha, don't you? I mean, she teaches us something about table fellowship. Boy, we need to have table fellowship, because at table fellowship, we learn about each other. We hear about each other's passions and those godly passions. We hear, and when those difficulties come, you know, when we have those struggles, we spend time together. We are at the table. So she teaches us something here, how important table fellowship is, and how we need that. We're to practice hospitality, as Romans 12 verse 13 says. And so, here we have this situation, and she's got here this meal that she has to brew, this meal that she has to get together. Most say that the disciples, it says here, they were there. They were traveling with Jesus. Most put the disciples there. So you've got 12, plus you've got a few others of Martha and Mary and Jesus. You've probably got 15 to 16, if not more. Now just imagine that. I don't know what that's like as ladies. Some of you put on the spread, and John knows what that's like. But I remember a number of years ago when I was a young fella, probably about 18 years old, we'd go to town. You know, Martin was the country town, and we'd pull up there and sit in our bonnets, you know, looking around to see if there's any girls. Not too many girls now, okay? But we'd sit on Main Street. And the burger place was over here and closed about 10:30, so on 10 o'clock, and one night it closed a little early. And we're there with all my mates, you know, and we want to get a feed. These are farm boys, okay? They can feed the horse and chase the rider. And I said, listen, no problem. Come on out to my place, my mother will put on the feed.
Oh, no.
Poor mum. Well, I forgot on the way home, I realised, oh no, mum and dad are away for the weekend. I got home at that stage, and all these cars, there's a feed at Mills that went around the town, you know? And all these cars came open, doors are popping up, people are coming out, guys everywhere. Well, I spent 2 hours that night making toast. So I can sort of relate in a small way here, but here's this woman, this beautiful Martha. She says, what a privilege basically to prepare a meal for Jesus. And Mary's thinking, what a privilege it is to sit at Jesus' feet. Both are worshipping in this moment, but in different ways. Both are showing their love to Jesus. I love this. You know, some temperaments are different, aren't they? Some are active, and some like to get busy, and some like to sit still and be having quiet contemplative time. Others are more thoughtful, perhaps, and like to sit. Others like to go to the supermarket. You know what? Others like to go to the library. Some like to go and read a book, while others like to go and clean the kitchen. We're just made different. So here are these two beautiful sisters doing their worship, but something along the line goes wrong. Something gets out of control. I want to suggest to you the text gives us some clues here. The first thing the text says about Martha is she got distracted. The word distracted is a beautiful word. It carries the idea of being drawn this way and that way, except, of course, where? To the feet of Jesus. Here she is trying to pull all this together, and she's going around the kitchen getting it all done, and she's feeling a little bit overwhelmed, and she's getting a little rather distracted. The implication is that perhaps Martha wanted to be at the feet of Jesus. That she wanted to be there, but somehow she couldn't because she's got this duty to do. She's the older one, she's Martha, the mistress, she has to get it. I don't know if you've seen those guys who spin plates. They get that one plate going, and then they move along, get that one going, and get that one going, and finally, when they've got that one going, this one's just going round, and they're ready to fall off, and they go around and spin that one. That's what Martha's doing. She's spinning plates. She's trying to keep the plates afloat. And I want to say to you, here she is trying to get the roast in, and get the vegetables to be put in at the right time, and everything to come out at the right time. She's got to make the salad over here. All these things she's trying to do, and she's trying to bring it together. But I want to say distraction's not just a Martha problem. It's our in the busy world that we live. Let me suggest some things here. You've done this, you ever had a time you've gathered round at the family, or maybe you've got guests, and you're about to have the prayer, the moment you bring yourself before Jesus, and you hear ding, ding. And everybody goes, oh, is that for me? Is that for me? Is that, because I'm important, you know, we've got to reach for our phones, and next thing we're all going into it, and finally the person comes up, oh, that was for me, sorry about that, and I'll just slip on here. Guess what's happening? We've all just been distracted. Or perhaps it's this, where you've experienced this, and we've all been guilty of this, haven't we? You know what I mean? We're in the middle of this beautiful time of being in the Word together, and praying together, and singing together, and we hear ding, ding. And we all reach for our pockets again, is that me? Because we're not familiar, because maybe we've changed the tone, you know what I mean? And before too long, we're distracted. Or perhaps you've had that time where you're at home and you maybe it's the evening, you've got a little break in the evening and you think, you know what, I'll have some time reading my Bible. Whoa! And we're about to read our Bible and we'll just say, well, I'll just check the phone, I'll just have a quick look at the phone, make sure that it is, and then before too long, an hour or two goes by, we've been on the phone. Or perhaps it's we've turned on the TV. Thinking, I'm just going to have this one, but I'll just check the next thing we just And I want to say to you, distraction is a real problem. It's a real problem, and with all of us, distraction robs us of focus in getting with the Lord. The early church, they were continually devoting themselves. I love that idea, they were continually devoting themselves, because it carries the idea here that they were steadfast and single-minded. They had the single-minded fidelity to a course of action. What's the course of action? to the apostles' teaching, the fellowship, and the breaking of bread. They were devoted. And I want to say to us here that we have a problem because Satan is behind distractions. He's the master distractor that's working in your heart and my heart every day. Paul warned us this. He says this: put on the full armour of God so that you may stand firm against the schemes of the devil. Why? The word schemes implies methods. He's got different methods of distracting you and distracting you. So we have to be very, very careful. He's the master distractor. I was watching recently, I'm not watching, I was reading about the moose. The Alaskan moose. And they would come together for the breeding rights of the heifers. And once a year, they'll do this massive fight. And what happens in that fight? The one that's biggest, the one that's got the strongest antlers will win. The other will, they say, literally go off because he's so bruised up will go off and die. Because he's got internal bleeding. They say the battle is not won on the battlefield. The battle is won 3 or 4 months before during the sun season. They have 24/7 to get strong for the battle. If they go, one decides, you know what, I'll go and talk to that nice little heifer over here, and gets distracted, guess what happens? He doesn't get ready for the battle. And when it comes to the battle, he loses the battle. It's dangerous. Distractions are dangerous for us, We've got to be so careful. I want to say this, that distractions are far more dangerous to our walk with Jesus than we care. Now I've asked myself, where's my distractions? What distractions do I need to bring to the Lord? What's your distractions that's distracting you from getting with the makeup and being able to speak? Here's the second thing that the text also mentions here. And that is this. She became, notice, worried. Martha, Martha, you are not worried. Interesting little word. It literally means to go to pieces. She's going to go to pieces. Now this is all internal at this stage. It hasn't burst out yet. But she's going to pieces. And you know what? She's being robbed of any joy and any fulfillment and any peace. Here she has the Lord of Lords in her living room. Here she has the maker of the universe. And guess what she has? She's just going to pieces. Fred Craddock says this: Martha's preparing many dishes. She's going overboard to impress her guests. She's not honouring Jesus at this point. She is showing off. She could have cut down drastically on the food, had a delicious meal, and still spent quality time in conversation with the Lord. She is doing more than needed. She's been pulled to pieces. John was sharing with me the other day, I hope you don't mind me sharing this, John, but John was sharing that the fact that I asked him why this, he says, you know, when they have people around, these guys are a great house. And when they have people around, he says, I get so consumed in making the meal that I can't get distracted. I get pulled to pieces. I don't even get time to go and welcome people in this comfort. And really, as he said here, they're there to see us, not necessarily the great meal that John's going to turn on. So we have to be careful of this ourselves that we don't get distracted in this way. Thirdly, she became upset. That word's an interesting word. It actually means to have an uproar. It means to be totally disturbed. It means to make a disturbance. So what's happened here at this point, she's had this internally going on, and now she bursts out with it. She can't hold it in. And you can imagine her storming out of that kitchen, throwing down her apron, and she's had enough. See, up to this point, she's probably been slapping a few cupboards closed, you know what I mean? Bang, bang, bang. And now she's just had enough. And she comes out, Lord, don't you care? I love that. Because bottom line is, here's the Lord of the universe who tells us to cast all of our cares on him because he cares for you. Yet she's thrown that out. She says, listen, don't you care, Lord? Don't you care that I'm in this situation? Don't you care? Here I am carrying out all these noble tasks and nobody cares. Nobody seems to think what I'm doing is important. Doesn't anybody care? And Marthas begin to have what we call the Martha syndrome. I call it the Martha syndrome. I do and do and do for you, and this is all the things. This is all the things that I get from what I'm doing. I've had this. If you're in ministry and work in this church, not in full fact, but to serve in any way in the congregation, you can experience this. I remember years ago I was reading a book by Charles Spurgeon, and it talked about having boiler room prayers, going down before the service begins, going down into the basement, and having prayers. And I thought, well, that sounds a good thing to do. I thought I'll get some of the men, I'll invite the church, come on, let's meet at 8:30 on a Sunday morning, we'll have these prayers. And so I sat down in the basement there, and the two people turned up. And then the week after that, well, it's only going to get better, but guess what, by the second week, nobody turned up. And I thought immediately, Lord, doesn't everybody care? And I had to search my own heart to go, who am I doing this for? Am I doing this for the glory of God, or am I doing this for me? Because Paul says, doesn't he, whatever you do, when you eat and drink, whatever you do it for the Lord. So we have this Martha syndrome here taking place. And then she begins to manipulate. And she said, get my sister, tell her. She's left me. Now, I suggest that probably Mary has been in the kitchen, and she said, well, that's enough of the kitchen time. I'm going out to be with my Lord. And Mary, of course, Martha's thinking, well, here I am on my own, and you can imagine the looks as they were. So she's doing all this preparation. She's looking around the corner. You can imagine the look that she got. Now, guys, I don't know. I'm going to be careful what I say here, okay? But, I have a look. My wife's given me a look many years. I have a little confession to make. I like at 9 o'clock, 9:30, so going into the kitchen, rummaging around, saying, I'm hungry. I go in there, my little looks at me around the corner because I try to be quietly so no one's watching. She's not watching, and she just looks at me, what are you doing? You're about to go to bed and you're eating. And I'm caught. She gives me a look. And I think probably in this situation, she's getting the look and it's all been stirred up. No idea. I want to say here that she begins to manipulate. She begins to force Jesus to say, get that sister of mine off the butt and get her out. We do that. I've met people, I've got a dear friend who loves evangelism. He sent me just last week, he sent me a picture of him evangelizing with a few of the others. He's these guys that goes and stands on the corner, holds a placard saying Jesus loves you. That's an evangelism stuff. I mean, whatever it is, it's great, he loves it, he thinks people. And he says, Chris, you need to be doing this. And that's not my evangelism style, but he's saying, you need to be doing it. He lives in the States and he says, this is what you need to be doing. Don't we get passionate about something and we force people to do exactly like us? We've got some ministry that we love, something over here, singing or whatever it be. We say, come on, you ought to be singing when people don't. We begin to manipulate, force people to do what we need to do. Jesus says to her, Martha, Martha, you're worried and upset about so many things. There's only one thing that's needed. Mary has chosen the better, and it will not take it away from her. I love Jesus' gentle correction. What's he saying? Too much of a good thing can be a bad thing when it distracts us from this. Someone said it this way: doing good things for God and serving God can be a good thing, but it can become a bad thing when it distracts us from sitting and learning and becoming a disciple. Watch out. Let me leave you with two closing things real quickly. First is prioritise your life, focus on the eternal. You know the biggest battle I have is there's some things that are temporary in life and some things that are eternal. And wisdom, you have to pray for wisdom to know the difference. Because I find I don't always know the difference. I can be running after the temporary, and yet I can forget the eternal. We have to discern, we have to pray, as James says, if anyone lacks wisdom, let him ask of God who gives to me generously and without reproach. Oh, how we need that. Emma Burnback, writes this in her book called If Life is a Bowl of Cherries, What Am I Doing with the Bits? And she describes a situation with a husband. A husband was one day looking out the window, and there were the lawns all kind of messy and muddy because the kids had basically worn away the grass. Years pass. And her husband goes to the same window, and he asks firstly, he says, will the grass ever come back? And then he goes to the window a number of years later, and the grass is immaculate and pure and all beautiful and lush, and he says, will the children ever come? What's Burnback saying? She's saying this, that muddy lawns are temporary, and things like children and grandchildren are eternal. And wisdom knows the difference. I want to say, and I say this to my daughter often, because she's busy in California, she's got 3 kids, and sometimes I've said to her, just be careful, just don't. No, we'll be fine. We don't have to have them in everywhere. There's little Johnny, little Pauline or whatever, they'll grow up fine, but sometimes we get so busy that we forget the things that we do. That's when children forget Jesus. When my daughter was 11 years old, she was an intermediate. I've never forgotten this. I was preaching here, I was teaching on Wednesday nights, and it was a very, very busy season. I was holding some one-on-one studies at night. And one night, my daughter would, Abby would, I would go in and I would, normally ritual was tuck her in, I'd read the scripture with her, we'd have a little time together, a little deep breathing. This night, I said, honey, I just can't do it. I've got too much on, I've got to get to this Bible study. She said these words, Dad, you are so busy lately. But remember, one day when I get to be a teenager, I may not ask you to come in and tuck me in and pray with me. You better do it now. That daughter of mine taught me a lesson. At 11 years old, I realized that some things are temporary and some things are eternal. And her soul is supposed to be eternal. Oh, how we need to learn that lesson. Charles Spurgeon says this, before your child reaches 7, teach him or her all the way to heaven. Better still, they will fly if he or she learns before he or she is 5. Leaving on empty, Wade Cadero says this. He says that 85% of things you and I do don't require any skill. Reading out your maps, checking out Facebook messages, take no skill. 10% of the things that we do in life require some form of training for our job. But 5% of the things we do in life basically are the things that only you can do. And that's looking after your health, raising your children, and then bring them to the feet of Jesus. And that's the part that gets you good. Here's what I'd suggest. Second, that we learn to balance your life and develop a rhythm of life. It's interesting, Jesus would go to a solitary place. He would go to the mountain, and then he would go to the marketplace. He had that perfect balance. Know how I want to apply that. I want that rhythm for living that he had. There's times when we need to be with God, and there's times when we need to be doing good works for God. That's that rhythm for living that we all need to require. Because if we don't, we're going to be like that washing machine. You know that it's out of balance, you hear it go around, bang, bang, bang. Develop a rhythm for living. It's David that said this: be still in the presence of the Lord and wait patiently on him to act. Go to the presence of the Lord. Someone said this: sitting without serving is powerless, serving without sitting is directions, but serving after sitting produces passion. How we need to learn that. In Copenhagen, there is a statue of Jesus in the town square. And his face is only visible to those who basically kneel, because it faces down. A tourist came and he was looking at it and said, I can't see his face. And the man beside him said this: if you wish to see the face, you must kneel at his feet. We need to learn to kneel at the feet of Jesus like this one. This day, Martha learned. This day, I believe Martha grew. She will continue to be the servant. We see that in John 12. She'll continue to be the wonderful host, but she learned. She makes this beautiful confession in John chapter 11, verse 27, 6 months from this event. She says, yes, Lord, I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, the one that God has promised to send. A beautiful, beautiful statement. Because she grew. So I'll leave you with this today. Prioritize your life. Focus on the gym. And secondly, balance your life, develop a rhythm for living. And that's what I would pray for this church, that we make sure that we always have this balance right. Therefore, we'll have this beautiful rhythm. Let's pray together. Father, thank you for the wonderful example you placed in Luke. Thank you that it wasn't taken out or overlooked, but it's there for us to see that sometimes we can be so distracted, overwhelmed. And Father, help us to learn the temporary, help us to learn the eternal. Help us to trust you along the journey, needing that wisdom that we need to get from you to know the difference. Guide us in that, in Jesus. This we ask in Jesus' name.